Okay, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we've got the well and truly waiting for Q&A video for celebrating 500 subs. So I'll first like to thank everybody for all their support on streams, whether it's liking videos, watching them all the way through, whatever it is you guys do to support me. I really appreciate every single one of you, so thank you all so much. So with all of that out of the way, let's get these questions out of the way because I've got quite a few to go through. So the first question comes from America, and he says, who is my favourite hero and villain, and which villains or heroes would I want added to the game? On the hero side, I have to say Luke and Lando would be the two that I use the most. And for the villains, it would be Boba and Kylo at the moment, as you can see with my Boba gameplay in the background. Now we have a question from Hitchy, who says, who is more swole, Ben Swolo or Joseph Swollen? It has got to be Ben Swolo, right? I mean, just look at those rippling pecs. That tells you all you need to know, I would have thought. Right, now I have another question. It's from Brady, Lord Brady. He says, how many pull-ups can I do? I'd have to say the most I've done in one sitting, or one go, is probably around 30-ish, 34 I think. But it's more than 20, so there you go. Alright, got a few more questions from Hitchy here. He says, who is my least favourite Battlefront YouTuber, and which Battlefront channel is the most clickbaity? I've lumped those two questions together because I've got the same answer for both, which is Silo Star Wars. I just cannot stand his videos, and I just hate when they come up in my recommended. So it's a tough one between him and Clickbait Knight, but I think Silo just takes the cake. Another question from Hitchy. He says, what is the one thing I want changed most in Battlefront 2? Right now, given everything that's happened, it's a toss-up between the lightsaber combat, because that's a bit of a joke at the moment, but also private matches would be nice. That would be a nice change to see. Another one would probably be I just had it. Vehicles, because everyone hates those bloody vehicle spams. So any change we can make to those to balance it a bit more is greatly appreciated. Right, so I got another question from Brady. He says, if Battlefront 2 could only draw from one movie, which one would I pick? Say Revenge of the Sith. There's so many new planets just from that movie that you could explore. There's Coruscant, there's Utapau, there's Mustafar. There's at least 10 or 12 heroes that are in the game currently that are in that movie in some capacity. So there's lots of options there for heroes still. Plus, it's probably one of my favourite Star Wars movies, so it's definitely got to be one that I would like. Now, another question from Brady. He says, Jar Jar, Boss Nass, and Watto, fuck, marry, and kill. Well, I'd kill Jar Jar, I think, because I don't think many people are appreciative of Jar Jar. And I think this could be interesting, but I'm going to marry Boss Nass, only because he's got the position of power, and he would probably have the wealth that goes alongside that. So any chance I can curtail that is always nice, which leaves fuck Watto, I guess, just by default, which is fine. You got to do what you got to do, right? Another question from Hitchy. He says, which infantry class do you think is the most balanced in the game? That's a tough one. I think it's the heavy seems underpowered to me, so it's not the heavy. The officers way too much because they get battle points way too quickly. It's either the assault or the specialist, and out of those two, I really don't know. Maybe the assault, because they've got a range of close and long range weapons, and the health regen cards and lots of other utility cards. So maybe I'd probably stick with assault. Maybe I'm slightly biased because that is my favourite class, but anyway. Okay, another question from Brady. He says, if you could have sex with one Aussie news presenter, who would you choose? You've got to go Mel McLaughlin. So all those cricket fans out there would know who Mel McLaughlin is, and I think that's pretty self-explanatory at this point. Favourite addition to Battlefront 2? That's another question from Hitchy. My favourite addition would probably be Obi-Wan. And when I answer a later question, you'll see why I've chosen Obi-Wan. The next map that I would like in the game, that's a question from Darth Windu. I'd say Coruscant. That's pretty highly requested by a lot of the community. I know Fire Guy Gaming is a huge advocate for Coruscant in the game. Or Sullust. There's plenty of options for maps from Solace you could use from either the campaign or from the last game. So either one of those two would definitely be the one I want. I guess I just want more original trilogy content, so maybe I'd lean towards Solace. Another question from Brady. He says, only one hero for the rest of Battlefront 2 that you could play as. Who would you choose? It would have to be one of my favourites, which would be either Luke or probably Boba, to be honest. I think it would be Boba. Another question from Brady. He says, do you wipe back to front or front to back? I wipe front to back, and if anybody is not sure the context of that, I might have to try and explain that in the comments or something. It's a good question. Now I've got a question from Darth Windu. He says, am I getting the new LEGO Star Wars game? Absolutely, yes. And will I complete it with a gonk droid? I don't know if that's a challenge or not, but if that's possible, I'll definitely look into it. Another question from Hitchy. He says, would you rather smash anyone in Star Wars or a gonk droid? See, this could be slightly misleading, because does anyone also mean the gonk droid itself, or is that exclusive of the gonk droid? Either way, I think I would just pick anyone, because then you've got free reign of choice, endless possibilities. Another question from Brady. He says, what's your favourite movie franchise outside of Star Wars? It's a toss-up between two, between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. They're definitely right up there for me with Star Wars. And Hitchy, piggybacking off that question, he says, what's your favourite animated franchise outside of Star Wars? It's a toss-up between, well, that's actually animated franchise trilogy, I should say. That's probably a toss-up between three. There's the Ice Age movies, the Shrek movies, and Toy Story. Probably for the nostalgia's sake, I'd go with Toy Story, just because they're the movies that I watch the most. Even though it's technically not a trilogy, it's now a quadrilogy, but still. If you exclude Toy Story 4, I'd have to say the first three would be Toy Story for me. And another question from Brady. He says, would you rather be blind, deaf, mute, or American? I'd probably go with mute, to be honest. I don't want to offend all the American lads that might be watching this video, but I think I'd have to go with mute. Now I have a question from Mace Winpoo. He says, what do you do for a crust? This is the kind of question I'm not entirely sure how to answer, to be perfectly honest, but maybe someone else can enlighten me in the comments about the context of that question. Now I've also got a few questions from Twitter. First one comes from Doug. He says, who's the biggest expert in the Frostbite engine? And the only response I have to that is, hey Bogan. Hey Bogan. Hey Bogan. That's a good question, Doug. Alright, we've got a question from Bwanster, my twin bro. He says, are we going to reach 1 million subs by the end of the year with our fellow Battlefrontians? That's a tough question. I really hope so. Between all of us, if we could get to 1 million, that would be awesome. Let's make it happen, guys. Now I've got a question from Timmy at In Your Gaming. He says, what are your favourite hobbies outside of gaming? That's a tough one. I'd say I do enjoy a lot of hiking and doing like walking trails and all that kind of stuff. I do frequent the gym quite regularly, and I do like a bit of travel and road tripping type stuff. That's all fun things that I like to do. Got a question from Jedi Rex. He says, am I a fan of the prequels? Yes, I'm definitely a fan of the prequels. I do love them. I've now got two questions from Lolli. Her first question is, who's my favourite Star Wars character and why? That's Obi-Wan, because I just guess the qualities that he holds, his kindness, his compassion, he's very smart and skilled with a lightsaber. And I guess I just sort of resonate with Kenobi more than any other character in the Star Wars franchise. And her second question is, does Queen of the Porgs actually like porgs? And yes, she definitely does. She loves them. It's her favourite part about The Last Jedi, which is not hard to find parts like that in The Last Jedi. And she's got a bit of a collection going. So we've got plush porgs, we've got pop vinyls. So yes, lots of porgs, which is always good. So we're definitely getting a bit of a collection going. Got a question from Nunhouse. He says, is The Last Jedi bad? Well, in my opinion, I think it is. The writing and direction really is what brings it down for me. And I think a lot of people in the comments are probably going to agree with me on that. And the last question I have here is from Aaron Porter. He says, is Australia real? I can confirm it is a real place. We're not paid actors as much as we'd like to admit that. And that would be nice to get some free cash, but no, definitely a real place. So that's going to do it for the Q&A, guys. So thank you all for your questions. It's much appreciated. And thank you again for reaching this 500 sub milestone with me. So let's see if we can jump it up to 1K. And if you have any other questions for me, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll get to them. So apart from that, thank you all so much, and may the force be with you. Bye.